Okay, we'll go ahead and get started today. Thanks again for joining us for another Tuesdays at 2. Today I'm going to be talking about designing loft spaces. We see a ton of them here in Chicago, and they can be some of the most fun, but also the most challenging spaces to design. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and go through a few of the most important things that I always try and keep in mind when I'm designing these loft spaces. So big picture, the most important thing to consider is establishing zones. This is the first thing we tackle when designing loft spaces for staging. Loft or industrial spaces can be kind of intimidating because they're kind of just big blank canvases, and often they don't have as many walls, hallways, or traditional features that some homes have. So you really have to let the space guide you toward these zones. You'll probably want to place your dining area close to your kitchen, kind of like you see here with this beautiful spiral staircase. The dining table is kind of situated right adjacent to the kitchen. And if you have a wall to anchor a TV on, you'll probably want to arrange your living space around that. So examples like that are really how the space can just guide you as to where your zones should be. So the number one trick we use to establish clear zones is using area rugs to define boundaries and create rooms within the bigger space. So you can see in these before and after images here that we used one rug very clearly to define the seating area with that round rug, and then another to clearly define the dining area. So in the top before picture, the space looks kind of undefined, but just placing those two rugs with our furniture pieces really structures the space and really maximizes the functionality of the space. Another big consideration is going to be storage, since loft spaces don't typically have as many traditional closed off closet spaces. So folding screens or curtains are really great alternatives if your closet doesn't have a door, or if you just need to create a little extra privacy for yourself. And get creative with how you use dressers, buffets, bigger sort of storage pieces, or even platform beds to hide your clutter and store your clothes. Open shelving with baskets or fabric storage bins can also look really stylish while giving you a lot of storage space. And these bigger pieces can also give you an added benefit of helping to establish faux walls or zones like we talked about earlier in your space. Another thing I always think about is creating warmth. So loft spaces can often feel kind of drafty or a little bit cold. So it's really important to create physical and visual warmth within the space. The area rugs that I mentioned earlier are really great for adding warmth. Mix and match the types of rugs you use. So we really like to use jute or low pile rugs for dining areas or heavy traffic areas. But in your bedroom, consider layering something like a sheepskin or just using a higher pile rug generally, especially if the loft has sort of concrete floors or really cold floors. You're going to want to step out of bed in the morning and your feet are going to want to hit something really nice and cozy. I love this rug in the bottom picture there. It's got a really nice texture visually, and then it also has that physical warmth we're looking for. Upholstered furniture pieces, luxe woven pillows, and fabric window panels can also help to cozy up the space really nicely. These elements are all really important for physical warmth, but also for that visual warmth. So wood vases, natural ceramics, and round shapes are also great visually to contrast the harshness of the concrete or the brick or the pillars of your loft space. Just because the bones of the space are kind of industrial and spare, it really does not mean that you have to decorate the whole space like that. Lighting is also a big consideration. So one of the best things about loft spaces is obviously the big windows that you typically think of, letting in a lot of natural light. But with high ceilings limiting the options for built-in overhead lighting, it can be tricky to light lofts once the sun sets or in areas without as much natural light in the space. So we always recommend using a mix of table and floor lamps throughout these spaces. Task lamps, our overarching floor lamps, are a really great source of sort of like flexible uplighting. The light can shine in multiple different directions, and take advantage of every outlet you have. I know they can be a little few and far between in lofts, so really scope out where your outlets are and then place table lamps on buffets, bar carts, or even bookcases to bring light to unexpected places. And if you can, definitely incorporate wall-mounted lighting like sconces to provide a wider range of light. Like you see in this bedroom here, you've got the sconces and the table lamp, so you've got a lot of good light coming into this loft bedroom. And let's see, finally, don't be afraid of color. Again, just because the space is naturally a bit muted or stark, it definitely doesn't mean the decor has to be that way. So loft spaces are really, really fun for trying out pops of bold color because they're so open and blank. So take advantage of the high ceilings, like in this bedroom here, and use a big vertical canvas or stack multiple pieces with bright pops of color or a lot of color. Or hang a curtain in a lush, bold colored velvet instead of just using white. So those are just a few of our top considerations and tips for designing loft spaces. But as always, DM us or reach out to us directly if you have any questions about your specific space. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you all next week.